The morning of June 6th, 1944. From a German soldier's perspective, it was chaos. Explosions, smoke, shouting, and waves of enemy troops crashing against the beaches. Every second was a fight for survival, every decision life or death. If you enjoy history's raw moments, a like or subscribe would be amazing. And drop where you're listening from. I love seeing people from all over the world tuned in. Tonight, we're stepping onto the German side of D-Day to see what it was really like. You're 20 years old and already a veteran. At least that's what the Feldwebel calls you when the new kids freeze during drills. You've been here for months, high on the bluffs with the 352nd Infantry Division, watching the channel and praying the Americans are as soft as their chocolate. Mostly, you just clean the MG-42 and curse the damp. The view is beautiful if you ignore the mines and bunkers, rolling grey waves, a sweep of sand and then the cliffs. But this morning is different. Something's off. You wake before a veil to a sound your body registers before your brain, like distant thunder wrapped in cotton. It's the ocean, but angrier. Then you smell it. Diesel, cordite, and something metallic. You sit up fast, bumping your head on the low concrete ceiling of your bunker. Your comrade Franz is already at the slitted window, eyes wide. "Schau," he mutters. You join him. The channel is no longer empty. The sea is crawling. You see dots at first, then shapes, then ships. So many they blot out the horizon. Destroyers, cruisers, even those bizarre floating docks you heard rumours about. The Allies have brought the world's biggest parking lot to your doorstep. Your stomach drops. The invasion isn't coming to Calais after all. It's coming to you. You snap your belt closed with shaking hands, slide into your tunic and grab your helmet. The bunker hums with adrenaline. Around you others are waking, shouting for officers, pulling ammo crates open with panicked fingers. The MG nest smells like oil and last night's cigarettes. No one knows what to do. You were told Calais was the real target. Field Marshal von Rundstedt believed it. So did Rommel, though lately he's been pacing like a man with a bad premonition. He'd even said not long ago, the first 24 hours will decide everything, for the Allies as well as for Germany. It will be the longest day. You hadn't known what he meant then. You do now. Franz loads the MG, muttering about his sister's birthday, of all things. You nod, pretending to care. Your ears ring. Someone outside is shouting in broken French, pointing toward the horizon. The Hauptmann yells back to hold fire until the enemy reaches the beach. It's too far. The shells will fall short. Let them come closer. Let them get stuck in the traps. You climb the ladder to the top of your position. Wind slaps your face. It's colder than you expected in June. You remember the anti-landing devices littered below, the Czech hedgehogs, the stakes with mines on top. You'd laughed when they were installed. Now they seem comically small. The ocean keeps coming. Behind you there's a whine, high-pitched, unnatural. Your first shell lands miles off, geysering up white foam. The second is closer. The third hits a nearby bunker, and the world turns orange. You duck instinctively. Dust and bits of rock patter your helmet. Somewhere below, a Feldwebel curses. He's still alive. For now. The naval barrage begins in earnest. You stop watching. You just feel it, like the earth is shivering. They say the USS Texas and Arkansas are out there. You believe them. Your position trembles like a kicked crate. Somewhere, the horizon splits as rocket ships fire their payloads. It looks beautiful from here, like New Year's. Then come the landing craft. Squat square things bobbing forward like stubborn beetles. LCVPS, you think they're called. You never bothered learning what the letters stand for. You watch the ramps drop one by one. Men spill into the water. Most wade. Some fall. You're too high up to see clearly. It all seems unreal. Then the Hauptmann gives the order. Your MG42 sings. It kicks in your hands like a living thing. The belt feeds like a blur. Franz calls targets. You obey. There's no time to think. You fire. You reload. You fire again. Smoke rises fast, acrid and oily, stinging your eyes. You see shapes collapse, but they don't stop coming. More and more craft land. The beach is becoming crowded. Some historians argue whether the tide of men that morning was coordinated chaos or just chaos. But from where you stand, it's an unholy avalanche. No finesse, no clever strategy, just raw force. An American tank rumbles out of a landing craft, drops into a hole and vanishes. You almost laugh. Then another makes it to shore, then two. They're heading for the shingle, straight at the emplacements. Your laughter dies. You've stopped noticing the shells. You've stopped noticing the screams. Your world has shrunk to three things. Your MG42, Franz's voice, and the cold metal of the trench wall. But even that doesn't last. A nearby gun crew signals they're out of ammo. The supply run has never made it. A group of engineers is cutting wire near the seawall. You try to signal the flak gun farther down, but it's silent now, probably wrecked. Franz leans close. They're through the hedgehogs. You nod. You don't feel your legs. A Feldwebel charges past, blowing his whistle like it's a parade. Hold your fire till they reach the bluff, he yells, as if that's going to make a difference. You watch a mortar crew set up, only to scatter when a round lands 2 meters short. A scream breaks from your left. A kid named Müller, barely 18, loses his grip and flees into the open. You want to pull him back. You don't move. You don't even blink. You're no longer a soldier. You're a gear in a dying clock. The Americans are halfway up the beach. The bluff won't hold. You already know that. But you keep your finger on the trigger, like it's the only thing keeping you tethered to the moment. And maybe it is. Your ears are still ringing from the last barrage, and even though the guns have quieted, your body won't stop flinching. Every gust of wind feels like an incoming shell. Every bird call seems suspicious. You duck without realizing it, only to straighten back up with a muttered curse. False alarm. Just the sea groaning against the shore. You're crouched behind the concrete lip of the machine gun nest now, waiting for another order that doesn't come. Your hands smell like oil and burnt powder. Franz has gone quiet. His knuckles are white where they grip the edge of the parapet. He hasn't blinked in a while. You don't speak. What would you even say? Nice weather for the end of the world? It's early morning, but the sky's already turning the colour of a weak tea. The clouds are low and dirty. Somewhere behind them, fighter planes scream in tight spirals, Spitfires and thunderbolts carving paths through the mist. Occasionally you catch a glimpse of silver wings flashing in the sun like knives. You duck again. Nothing happens. You realise you've been breathing through your mouth. Jaw clenched so hard it hurts. This is the part no one tells you about. The silence between bombardments. It's not peaceful. It's worse. Because it doesn't mean safety. It means something else is coming. Something louder. Something closer. You shift your weight and try not to think about how many minutes it's been since the first shell. It could be 10. It could be 2 hours. Time's doing whatever it wants today. Another soldier. You think his name is Jürgen, climbs up beside you, grinning like you just want to bet. False alarm, he says. They're hitting further west. Maybe this is all just a diversion. You want to believe him. You really do. You even manage half a smile. Then the ground rumbles again, and you both drop flat. It's not a diversion. The field telephone crackles with static and half words. The corporal fiddles with the handset, cursing softly. Someone says something about Carentan, something about the 91st Infantry Division moving north. None of it helps you here. You're not in Carentan. You're in this miserable hole with a belt-fed beast and sand in your boots. You glance toward the sea again. It looks empty. A trick of the light, probably. The mist rolls thick across the surf. You almost convince yourself the landing craft are gone. That maybe it was a one-time push and they've retreated. Then you spot a glint. Then another. Dozens. They're still out there. More are coming. Franz taps your shoulder and hands you a canteen. It's warm and tastes like metal, but you drink anyway. Your throat's raw from yelling and powder. You thank him with a nod. He doesn't look away from the water. His eyes are glassy. Do you think they'll bomb again before they come? He asks quietly. You don't answer. The night before is already a blur. You remember dinner, bread, canned sausage, and a cigarette you traded for from a cook with connections. You remember a false air raid around midnight. Everyone scrambled, sirens wailing, only for it to be nothing. You laughed about it then. Now you wonder if it was a warm-up. Someone mentioned paratroopers around 2 a.m. Scattered reports from behind the lines. The flak crews said they saw movement near Saint-Mère-Église. That's inland. Too far to worry about. At least that's what the Obergefreiter said. But then the radar station at Douve started reporting strange signals. Planes, lots of them, but not in formation. Not bomber patterns. The operator said it didn't make sense. Ghosts, someone joked. You were too tired to care. Now it haunts you. Historians still debate whether the German High Command was truly asleep at the switch or simply overwhelmed. Depends who you ask. The Kriegsmarine swore the invasion would come at Calais. Some Luftwaffe officers believed in Normandy, but no one wanted to contradict the fat folders on Hitler's desk. So here you are, holding the line on the wrong side of military logic. Your mind drifts back to that radar reading. Ghosts. You wonder how many of them are real now. The corporal finally gets the field phone working. The line crackles, then clears just enough to hear a voice. Hold position. Artillery regrouping. Reinforcements expected. Over. No names, no details, just fragments. You wait for something more, but the static returns, louder than before. The corporal shrugs. Better than nothing, he says. A shadow moves past your right. It's Becker, the young sniper from Dusseldorf, adjusting his scope. He sets up beside you without a word, eyes calm and focused. You've always envied that about him. Becker could shave his beard while the bunker collapses around him. He clicks the bolt into place, rests the barrel on the concrete, and exhales slow. 3 more boats, he murmurs, all heading for that sandbar. You nod. Franz wipes his palms on his trousers. You reload the MG-42 again. The machine gun's heat shield is already warm. That's not good. The cooling barrel system only lasts so long. You're supposed to swap them out after sustained fire, but the spare's still downstairs. You make a mental note, then forget it. There's no time. A shrill whistle sounds from further down the line. 2 quick blasts. That's the signal. You raise your eyes just above the parapet. The sea is alive again. LCVPS are swarming toward the shore, packed with soldiers. You count maybe 15, then lose track. They're weaving through smoke screens and tangled water obstacles like they've done this before. Maybe they have. Sicily, Salerno. Practice runs back in Britain. Doesn't matter. They're here now. Franz breathes faster. "This is it," he whispers. You don't reply. You just reach for the trigger. The MG-42 erupts again, its high-pitched roar cutting the air like a chainsaw through wet pine. You trace the shoreline, then the waterline, then the spaces between the crafts. Figures fall, disappear, rise again. You think you see someone waving a flag, but it's gone in the smoke. The Americans don't stop. They keep coming, stumbling, dragging wounded, dragging each other. There's a kind of horror in their persistence, like ants on a log, undeterred even when the fire hits. A mortar round explodes behind you, tossing gravel across your back. Your ears pop again. You taste dirt, and then the sand shifts. Not literally, just in your head. Because now the beach doesn't look like a defence point, it looks like a funnel, and the Americans are pouring into it by the hundreds. Becker fires 3 shots, calm as ever, then ducks to reload. You cover him automatically. Franz is reloading the MG belt. It's almost like you're a team, except this team is losing. Suddenly you hear singing, or maybe chanting. It's hard to tell. Through the smoke and gunfire, the Americans are yelling something. Short syllables, a rhythm. They're motivating each other. You don't understand the words, but the tone chills you. You think again of the radar ghosts. They weren't ghosts. They were the beginning. And now, the sea has opened up its mouth and decided to swallow Normandy whole. Bunkers and all. You don't see them land. You hear them. The soft thumps at first, like someone dropping sacks of grain across the horizon. Don't register as anything important. You assume they're distant artillery. But then you notice something drifting in the sky. Dozens of strange round shapes, floating downward on slow, jerking strings. Some are just specks against the clouds. Others you can see clearly. Dark silhouettes with dangling legs and bulging packs. Franz leans in. "Are those ours?" he asks. You both squint. Definitely not. Too many. Too fast. Too random. And they're coming down inland, behind your position, not from it. That's when your gut drops again, but in a different way this time. Not fear. Confusion. The kind that makes you doubt everything you've been told. The front is behind you now. How does that even make sense? You've seen paratroopers before, at least in training films. Your officers called them elite, but reckless. The kind of men who jump from a plane just for the thrill of it. It was easy to sneer when they were theoretical. Not anymore. The horizon is full of them. Hundreds, maybe thousands. The first ones hit the ground hard. Some in open fields, some in hedgerows. A few don't move. Shoots caught in trees. Bad landings. One poor soul gets dragged across a pasture, legs kicking like a wind-up toy. Another crumples against a barn roof. But most of them pop up fast. They scatter with purpose. They know what they're doing. You try to track them through your scope, but they vanish too quickly. Into tree lines, behind low stone walls, through fences and creeks. Some carry rifles, some carry strange-looking bags and wire. You see one with a folding bicycle. You blink. Did you imagine that? Historians still debate how well coordinated the American airborne landings were that night. Some say they were a complete mess, units scattered miles off course, soldiers lost in the dark, radios that never worked. Others argue the chaos itself became an advantage, making it impossible for German defences to predict anything. Either way, one thing is certain: they're here, and they're not where you want them to be. A shout comes from down the line. Fallschirmjäger? It's a question, not a report. You shake your head. No, these aren't German jump troops. The silhouettes don't match. And besides, there haven't been German airborne operations as West for years. Not since Crete, not since the High Command declared them too costly. Another voice yells, Americana. This time it sticks. The men believe it. You believe it. And suddenly the bunker doesn't feel as safe as it did 5 minutes ago. Because now you're no longer facing one front. You're surrounded. You duck back down, instinctively covering your back. The concrete wall offers some comfort, but it's psychological. If they come from inland, you're boxed in. Your position was built to resist a seaborne assault, not a two-sided trap. You're a castle with its drawbridge left down. Franz whispers, "What if they come up behind us with knives?" You almost laugh. It's such a cinematic fear, so childish. But part of you believes it too. You imagine them moving like shadows through the mist, slitting throats and cutting cables, bypassing bunkers entirely. You shake the image from your head. Too much time watching banned American films. Still, you press your back to the wall, just in case. A runner arrives breathless from the next position over. He's covered in dirt, helmet askew. Drop troops, he confirms. Reports from Saint-Marie-du-Mont and Carentan. They're hitting everywhere. You ask who gave the report. He shrugs. Radio chatter. Maybe the 91st. Then he runs off again, as if spreading panic is part of his orders. More shapes fall from the sky. It's like watching leaves in reverse, pulled upward into the clouds, then drifting back down to cause mayhem. You wonder how many they dropped. How many planes did it take? You try to picture the airfields in England, endless lines of C-47 Dakotas revving in the night. American soldiers chewing gum and slapping each other on the back before boarding. Someone had to organise all that. Someone had to get thousands of men into the sky at once, fly them across the channel in pitch-black darkness, and somehow land them close enough to make a difference. You imagine Eisenhower watching the first planes disappear into the horizon. Did he sleep afterward? You didn't. The night before was a joke. Half alarms, half card games. You and Franz had argued over whether to save your last chocolate bar or eat it before the invasion. You ate it. It doesn't matter now. From the top of the bluff you watch as tracer fire arcs through the sky. Red and green threads stitching the darkness. Some planes go down. You see at least one burst into flames before it vanishes behind a hedgerow, but most of them escape. The flak guns are too busy with the naval bombardment to hit the transports. You think of Rommel again. A few days ago he left for Germany, something about his wife's birthday. That fact seems absurd now. Imagine missing D-Day for a cake. But then again, no one expected it to be today. Not even the generals. Not even Hitler, if rumours are true. The Führer was sleeping and no one dared wake him. Classic. A sudden burst of gunfire erupts behind you. You twist, heart pounding, but it's far off. Maybe a kilometre inland. Then another burst, closer this time. Not sporadic, controlled, disciplined. Someone's engaging the paratroopers, or trying to. The Americans move fast. They know the terrain better than you'd expect. They have maps, probably photographs, maybe even local guides. The French resistance is stronger than most admit. Even the officers hint at it now and then, when a convoy gets ambushed or a phone line is mysteriously cut. the resistance. You glance down at the beach again, still chaos. More men pouring in, but that's just part of it. You realise this whole area is being squeezed. The sea in front, the airborne behind, and civilians in between who may or may not be on your side. Some scholars question whether the Germans were ever really dug in enough in Normandy. You're beginning to understand why. A few bunkers, some concrete nests, a maze of trenches and minefields. None of it matters if the enemy can land wherever they want. A strange thought hits you. The beach isn't the main battlefield anymore. The battle has already skipped past it. You're fighting in a museum diorama while the real war moves inland. You try to refocus. You squint at the tree line behind your position. Movement. A flash of light, too low to be sunlight. Then nothing. You blink. Still nothing. Was it a reflection? A scope? Your imagination? Franz sees it too. He doesn't speak, just tightens the strap on his helmet. You both know what's coming. You reach for your rifle. Not the MG this time, just your Carabiner 98K. It feels lighter than usual. Your hands are shaking again. A single crack of gunfire echoes from somewhere behind the hill. Then another, closer. You grip the rifle tighter. It's not just the Americans on the beach anymore. They've come from the sky. And now they're coming for you. At 5:44, you feel it in your teeth before you hear it in your ears. The air changes, like pressure being sucked out of the world. Then the first shell lands. Not near you, not even on the beach, but out at sea. A test shot, you think. A naval greeting card. It explodes in a gout of seawater tall as a house. The second one hits closer. The third one hits a gun emplacement 200 metres down the bluff. You see the flash first, then the plume of shattered earth and steel. You don't see what happens to the crew. You don't want to. The sound arrives late. A deep concussive whomp that seems to fold your insides inward. Then all hell opens up. This isn't artillery like you've known it before. This is something else, something worse. The Allied fleet, cruisers, destroyers, battleships, has finally started its real performance, and you are front row. The USS Texas, the Arkansas, the Quincy, the Emmons, names you never cared about, never thought would matter, are now calling your exact coordinates their problem. The sky fills with sound, the kind that isn't just noise but a force, like someone tearing open the seams of the air itself, a rolling thunder that shakes the earth in uneven waves. It's not just explosions, it's orchestration. You imagine some bored American naval officer coordinating the fire like a conductor. And now, he says, baton in hand, we'll pulverise Sector D9. You crouch low in the bunker. Franz is already there, curled sideways like a cat, hands over his helmet. You think about joining him. But your job is the MG42, and the MG42 doesn't work by itself. So you stay upright, barely, bracing against the wall, watching slivers of daylight punch through the view slit every time a shell lands. The concrete trembles. Fine dust rains down from the ceiling, stinging your eyes. You taste lime and sweat. Something falls behind you, a box of ammo or maybe someone's tin mess kit. The clang echoes too loud. There's a human instinct that tells you to run from noise like this, but there's nowhere to run. You are, quite literally, buried in place. And the worst part? It's systematic. You start to notice the pattern. Shells fall in grids, working across the bluffs with almost mathematical precision. First to the east, then a bit west, then closer. You whisper to yourself without realizing, now, 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 each syllable timed with impact. You've seen bombings before, in Sevastopol, in Casino, or newsreels from London, but you've never felt one like this. Not this coordinated, not this intimate. You glance at your watch. 5 minutes have passed. Only 5. A voice shouts outside. Someone running between bunkers. Cover your ears. Get to cover. As if any of you need reminding. Another shell hits, closer this time, and part of your ceiling cracks. A chunk of concrete the size of a loaf of bread drops near France's foot. He doesn't flinch, just pulls his helmet down lower. Somewhere above, a communications post goes up. You hear the crackle of radio equipment being fried. Sparks dance in the air. The wires that connect you to the neighbouring machine gun nests have gone dead. You know because you try them 3 times. Nothing. You step outside for a moment. A stupid decision. But you need air. Or maybe you need proof that the world still exists beyond this echo chamber. The wind nearly knocks you back. Smoke and salt and the scent of burning rubber assault your nose. You spit on instinct. And then you see the water. It's still there. Still endless. Still crawling with ships. Landing craft bob like iron insects. Bigger vessels float further out. Cannons flashing with each volley. For a moment, you're hypnotised. Then another shell lands to your right and you dive back in. Inside, Becker is back at the scope. His face is pale, but his hands are steady. They're softening us, he mutters. They know we'll break. You want to argue, say something brave. But he's right. The bunkers weren't made for this kind of war. Rommel had wanted more guns, more concrete, more men. But he got wire and wooden stakes and a handful of teenagers with grenades. A few months ago, Rommel visited this very sector. You remember it well. He asked sharp questions, tapped the walls with his cane, pointed at the sea and said, "We must stop them at the waterline. Not here, not inland, here." You wonder if anyone listened. Now the sea answers him. Another volley hits. This one is different. Higher pitch. You later learn it's naval rocket fire from modified LCTS, landing craft, tank, converted into floating batteries, the kind that fire dozens of rockets in one burst, the kind that shake your soul loose from your ribs. The noise is unbearable, but worse than the noise is the pause afterward, when it goes quiet, completely quiet, for 2 seconds too long. That's when you realise something's coming. You look down the cliffside again. The first landing craft are near the obstacles. Men jump out before they even reach dry sand, water up to their waists. Some drop immediately, others push forward. One tries to drag a fallen comrade, then gives up. You don't open fire yet. The officer's orders were clear. Wait until they cluster. Let them feel safe. Let them think they made it. A strange calm settles over you, the kind that comes before the storm. Then, from far to the right, a single German artillery piece opens up. Its shot lands squarely at a row of incoming craft. A direct hit. Flames leap skyward. Cheers erupt from your bunker. Becker actually smiles. It's the only victory you'll see today. Encouraged, the MG nest to your left opens fire, then another to your right. You wait another few seconds. Timing. Then Franz gives the nod, and you unleash the MG-42 again. The belt rattles, the barrel smokes, the recoil bruises your shoulder, but none of it matters, because the Americans keep coming. Shells still fall around you. One lands close enough to suck the breath from your lungs. Dust clouds choke the air. Your water canteen is half full, but your mouth feels like cotton. You think of the bakery back home, of real bread, of cold milk, of nothing that smells like gunpowder. You reach for another ammo belt, it jams, you curse, slam it down, fix to feed, fire again. The beach is crowded now. You can't keep track. You fire at movement, at shadows, at anything upright. The MG barrel glows. Franz taps your arm. Change barrel. You do. Hands practiced. Motion automatic. Eyes unfocused. You forget about your name. You forget about time. You forget there's a world beyond this bluff. There is only fire and metal and the ever-growing tide of boots pushing forward no matter how many fall. And above it all, the guns still speak. You don't remember when the MG-42 overheated. It just stopped firing. 1 second, you're holding down the trigger, eyes squinting through smoke and sweat, and the next, nothing. A sick click, followed by the harsh stink of burning oil. You yank the barrel loose with shaking fingers, but it's glowing red. Franz is already rummaging for the spare, swearing under his breath. His voice is high-pitched now, like it's been pitched forward by panic. You glance over the edge. The Americans are getting closer. A group has reached the shingle line, diving for cover behind the steel beach obstacles you once joked about. Now they're working in teams, leapfrogging from hedgehog to tank trap, dropping prone, then sprinting again. One of them throws something, a canister-shaped blur, and a second later smoke erupts 20 metres from your post. White and thick, it pours across the slope like fog from some angry machine. You lose sight of the movement, the slope disappears into grey, you blink hard, your vision has gone blurry, either the smoke or your own eyes betraying you. The machine gun barrel clatters into place. You slam the top closed and yank the feed belt into position. Franz mutters something, maybe a prayer, maybe a curse, and you both brace for the next wave. But it's hard to shoot when you can't see. You fire short bursts into the smoke anyway, hoping to slow them down. The gun jerks in your hands. The brass casings clatter off the bunker wall. The smell is pure metal and fire now. And still they come. Somewhere in the haze, a flamethrower roars to life. You don't see it. You hear it. A sound like a dragon clearing its throat, then a billow of orange that lights the smoke from within. Flames curl upward. Someone screams, not from your nest, one of the others. The scream is cut off quickly. Your hands twitch. You've seen flamethrowers before, in training films mostly. Never this close, never this real. You shift back from the slit, flattening against the wall, breath shallow. Franz won't even look out anymore. You tell yourself this is just part of the assault, that the Americans are only probing, that the real bulk of their force is still on the water, that the lie doesn't hold. You know what this is. It's a push, a real one, and they've brought everything. Becker arrives out of nowhere, rifle in hand, face streaked with soot. Bunker 14 is gone, he says simply. Direct hit. No one made it out. You nod. He slides down beside you, pressing his back to the same wall. His rifle clinks against the floor. They're climbing the bluff near the draw. Engineers made a hole through the wire, smoke cover, I saw it happen. Vierville, you ask? He nods. That's supposed to be impossible. The draw at Vierville is steep, narrow, full of traps and crossfire. They were supposed to be funneled and cut down. That was the plan. You laugh. A small, bitter sound that doesn't go anywhere. Franz reloads the MG again, but it's more out of routine than intent. The line's collapsing. The whole beach sector is unravelling like a cheap sweater. No one's coming with orders, no flares, no reinforcements. Historians still argue whether the defence at Omaha failed because of poor coordination, or simply because the Allies were too strong. Some say German command underestimated the saturation tactics combined naval firepower, smoke, armour, engineers, and sheer volume of men. Others say Rommel's vision of defending on the beach was never fully realised, his obstacles incomplete, his men scattered between weak points. You stop caring about theories, you just want to survive. Another blast shakes the bunker. Something outside groans, wood or metal or both. Franz grips the MG tighter. You think he's whispering to it. You don't interrupt. We all talk to strange things when we think the end might be minutes away. Becker peers out again. They're at the seawall, he says. You don't look. You already know what he'll describe. Some of them have Bangalore torpedoes, long tubes of explosives used to blow open wire and minefields. You saw one set off earlier, closer to the east. It turned an entire section of barbed wire into confetti and vaporized the man standing behind it. The sound it made wasn't even an explosion. It was a snap like the earth cracking open. Fall back? Franz asks. You laugh again. Not because it's funny, just because it's absurd. Where, you say? To the chapel? It's an old joke. The chapel sits maybe 500 metres inland, half buried by hedgerows and rubble. It's empty, except for a rusted bell and a statue of St. Michael missing both wings. Once, Becker joked it would be the last place they'd say Mass if the Allies came. Now, it doesn't sound like a joke. Someone runs past the opening, German uniform, rifle slung over one shoulder. He doesn't even look at you, just a blur of motion heading inland. You don't blame him. The urge to bolt is overwhelming. You glance at your belt. 4 grenades, 2 smoke, 2 fragmentation. Not enough. Orders? Franz asks again. Still none. You finally make a decision. Cover me. You crawl to the rear entrance of the bunker and lift the tarp-covered field radio. The crank is bent. You twist it anyway. Static. Then a faint voice, too garbled to identify. Then nothing. You slam the receiver down and crawl back. They're not answering, you say. Becker shrugs. I don't think anyone's left to answer. That hits harder than any shell. You consider retreat. The bluff has paths back through the woods, narrow goat trails and trench lines half dug during training exercises. You could take one, abandon your post, fall back, regroup. But regroup with who? Your unit is scattered. The company commander hasn't been seen since dawn. The platoon sergeant's last known position got flattened 30 minutes ago. You'd be regrouping with ghosts. So you stay. And so does Franz and Becker. Even though it's madness. Even though the machine gun is down to its last working barrel. And your ears haven't stopped ringing in an hour. You peer over the edge again. Through the smoke you spot something surreal. An American soldier crouched just below a tangle of wire holding a map. He's marking something with a pencil. Calm as a man sketching a tree. You raise your rifle. You hesitate. He moves out of view. Gone. Franz nudges you. They're flanking. I know. Then we're... I know. A pause. You hear a whirring overhead. Not aircraft. Drones don't exist yet. Just another illusion. Your brain scrambling for explanations that don't belong in this century. The beach is a blur now. Everything's obscured by smoke and flame. But you know what's underneath. Movement. Determination. An enemy who refuses to turn back. The Allies have planted themselves on your coastline, and they're not leaving. You look at your hands, filthy, trembling. You don't feel heroic. You don't feel anything. Just tired and afraid and impossibly young. Franz leans his head back. Becca lights a cigarette, coughs and offers it around. You take it, you breathe in, you listen. Somewhere out there, footsteps crunch on gravel. You reload on instinct now, strip the belt, slam it in, yank the bolt, check the feed. Your fingers do what your brain barely registers. Each motion comes with a whisper of doubt. Does it even matter anymore? Outside the slit, the smoke drifts thinner, just enough to catch glimpses between the clouds of white and grey. The tide hasn't turned. If anything, it's grown bolder. The landing craft are still unloading, one after another. You wonder how many they've got. Hundreds, thousands. It feels endless, like the whole world is stepping ashore. You angle the barrel down the slope again, eyes scanning for movement. There, to the right of the hedgehogs, 3 shapes, crouched low. One of them points, another one runs. You squeeze the trigger. Nothing. Franz slaps your shoulder. It's jammed. You rip the top open, teeth clenched, yanking the belt free and flipping the cover again. A spent casing is caught sideways. You fish it out with the edge of your knife and try again. This time it fires. The MG-42 screams into the fog, short bursts tracing through the gaps. One figure drops, the others vanish. Maybe you hit one. Maybe they just moved. The smoke swallows everything. Franz is shaken beside you. His helmet has shifted backward, exposing his forehead. You reach over and pull it down like a mother correcting her child's hat. He doesn't react, just keeps watching. You see that tank? He whispers. You blink, confused. Then you see it too on the far left, just past the steel beach defences. A Sherman, half hidden behind a concrete block, turret already turning inland. They must have cleared a path. That, or they bulldozed one. The engineers have been working non-stop, under fire, under smoke, pushing forward yard by yard. Franz spits. They brought armour already. They're not waiting. And they aren't. Another one follows. Then another. They form a crooked line, advancing slow but steady. Their treads churn sand and broken metal like it's flour. A Panzerfaust team farther down tries to hit one, but the rocket veers off course. Too much wind. Bad angle. The tank replies with a blast that shatters the nearest wall and sends up a tower of dust. It occurs to you that the bluff is no longer high ground. Not when the enemy can level it from below. Not when they can bring the cliff down one shell at a time. You look for the flanking team Becca warned about. There, they're edging along the side of the slope, using debris for cover. Smart, slow, careful, like they've trained for this exact setup. Probably have. You glance at the MG again, one more belt left, maybe 2. Franz, you say, we hold this line, or we run. We can't do both. He doesn't answer. Becca returns, rifle in one hand, his other cradling something wrapped in cloth. You realise it's his shoulder, bleeding. A clean line of red across his sleeve. Got clipped, he mutters. I'm fine. Lost the guys near the crater. We're it. How many? 3, 4. Rest are down or missing. Command? He laughs. No such thing. You hand him a field dressing. He wraps it tight, teeth clenched. You don't ask how bad it really is. Outside, the first tank fires again. This one hits closer. The bunker shakes. A metal box in the corner tips over, spilling rations in a dented enamel cup. We should fall back, Becca says, wincing. Franz looks at you. You look at the gun. Then back to the smoke. Somewhere down there, a whistle blows. Not one of yours. A signal. Moments later, more movement. A new wave of infantry. Hundreds, maybe. Sprinting across the beach, fanning out in practiced chaos. Their boots strike sand, then stone, then dirt as they climb the slope. And that's when it hits you. The beach refuses to end. You've poured bullets into it for hours and it's still full, still feeding men into the grinder. You and Franz lay down fire again. Burst, reload, burst. Your shoulder aches, your wrists are raw. Becker covers the side with his rifle, firing slow, deliberate shots, counting each one like gold. His aim is good. He drops a runner mid-stride, the others scatter, but it's not enough. The Americans are inside the wire. It starts with a pop, then another. Smoke grenades, this time tossed uphill, not down. They fill the trench line with thick, stinging haze. You can hear boots slapping earth. Shouts, English, short commands. Left, suppress, move up. Your throat tightens. Franz pulls the last belt from the ammo tin. You both know what it means. One more run, then the fallback. A figure looms in the smoke. Close, too close. You swing the barrel toward it and fire. The figure drops, but now there's shouting all around. Gunfire, screams. A grenade clinks somewhere off stone. You dive. The blast is dull and close, like thunder trapped in your skull. Dust rains down. Your ears ring anew. You blink. Franz is coughing beside you. Alive. Becker is still moving, dragging himself toward the rear exit. Go, he yells. Go now. You grab the MG, sling it across your back and half lift Franz to his feet. He's limping. Maybe shrapnel, maybe twisted something, doesn't matter. You force him forward. The back exit is tight, just a concrete hatch barely wider than your shoulders. You push through it into open air. A thin trench leads inland, winding between shrubs and rocks. You duck low, dragging Franz Becker behind you. The sounds fade behind. The gun nest is gone now, at least in your mind. Overrun, claimed. You don't look back. The path forks. One way leads toward the ravine, the other toward the chapel. Chapel, Franz mutters. You nod. Becker grunts his agreement. You move. The ground is soft underfoot, torn by shell craters and boot prints.